All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. The Cincinnati Bengals late night signing Orlando Brown, 4-year contract with Cincy. Oh my goodness gracious, left tackle, one of the most important positions on both sides of the football. Welcome to the Cincinnati Bengals. It's like 10:30 here. I got a text saying, it's from a Bears fan saying, the Cincinnati Bengals, because Orlando Brown, was rumored to possibly go to Chicago. And, my other buddy was like, why? Sign Chris Jones. I read that text. I'm like, what? That's not even possible. Go on Twitter and see Orlando Brown Jr. signs with the Cincinnati Bengals a 4-year contract, $64 million, includes over $31 million of a signing bonus, which is the largest ever for an offensive lineman. I thought it was just some type of sick joke, some false flag, some false report of the Bengals signing somebody. I know the Bengals have lost a handful of players we talked about in a video yesterday, but this is a huge move, man. Before we get any further into tonight's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Posting Bengals videos a couple of times a week right now, so if we could get this video to 500 likes, that would be absolutely awesome. This is unbelievable. This is offensive line changing moves. Cincinnati started off the season, a lot of new bodies, injuries, whatever it was throughout the season, the beginning part of the season, I should say. Jeez, can't talk right now. They were struggling. All right. They just were trying to catch that new rhythm, trying to get that newfound chemistry. And as the season progressed, the offensive line improved vastly. But once we got into the playoffs, or even at the end of the season, players started going down left and right. And it really felt like it was only on the offensive line. The Bengals, for the most part, were an extremely healthy team, but offensive line, guys going down. All right, this team gave up 44 sacks last season. That is one of the worst in the entire NFL. And, like I said, although they continued to improve and, you saw newfounders, guys like Alex Kappa come on over to Cincy last year, it was a huge need. It was a really big need. I didn't think they were going to go out and make a move like this. I thought that possibly, sign some type of veteran starter and build through the draft. They're still going to build through the draft. They still could continue to add depth pieces for your offensive line through free agency. But, this is an A-plus move. In general, today's Wednesday, March 15th. So free agency has been going on for a couple of days. You could realistically argue that 4-time Pro Bowl tackle and Super Bowl champion Orlando Brown Jr. was the best available free agent in this year's class, several days ago. Today, it was even more clear. Orlando Brown Jr. was the guy most teams were trying to acquire. I did not see this one coming at all. I give this move an A+. I'm really curious to hear what Bengals fans have to say. I'm going to imagine that the hype is real. I'm just going to go out there and imagine it. You talk about important positions in football, and when I think of offense, the guys you want to pay big bucks are clearly your quarterback. You need a franchise guy. You need a reliable guy. You want a winner, somebody who doesn't get injured, just, a guy who's got that it factor, i.e. Joe Burrow. I don't even need to really discuss Joe Burrow in today's video because we're all fully aware of Joe Burrow's talent. This past season, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 4,500 yards, 68.3% completion percentage. It was a phenomenal year once again for Mr. Joe Burrow. The other position I think of when I'm thinking of guys you want to pay big bucks and you want superstars are your left tackle. And that's exactly what Cincinnati now has. The most important position, one of the most important positions outside of your quarterback. I would argue right now it's your second most important position on offense. The Bengals now have one of, if not the best in the business. This is a proven winner. Started his career with Baltimore, was with Kansas City. I don't know why Kansas City wasn't chalking up the cash to re-sign him. Don't know what that issue was there. But you know what? One team's trash is another team's treasure. And in this case, that team's trash is a several-time Pro Bowler and Super Bowl champion. So this is a game changer. In my video last night, I was talking a lot about some of the pieces they lost. Some guys were expected, like Jesse Bates, Hayden Hurst. That was actually after my video. They lost Hayden Hurst earlier today. He went to Carolina. They lost Samaje Perine, and it just kind of felt, I knew that this team had a vision. They weren't going to go into next year without improving. In fact, if they probably left their roster as is, they would have been just fine. I was thinking maybe a big move on the defensive side. They re-signed Jermaine Pratt. I love to see that. Dax Hill looks like he's going to step in. The Bengals aren't even done in free agency. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to get veteran secondary players to possibly make more moves on the offensive line. The running back room, I'm not worried in the slightest because you have, first off, Joe Mixon still. He's got a contract decision that you're going to have to make relatively soon here. It's a loaded running back draft class, and I know some big names went into free agency or got signed in free agency already, like Miles Sanders, David Montgomery. Those guys come to mind first off. I know losing Samaje was a big deal, but there are plenty of veteran running backs. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you woke up tomorrow and Cincinnati signed a guy like Kareem Hunt, right? I think they're going to sign a veteran running back. Not quite sure who exactly it's going to be, but even if they don't, I like Joe Mixon. As long as he can stay healthy and do what he needs to do, having a Pro Bowl left tackle, the best offensive tackle, the best free agent in the class, having him at your side, on your left side, not only protecting Joe Burrow's blind side, extremely important, it also bolsters your rushing attack. And Cincinnati's rushing attack last year was okay. Statistics prove that it was horrible. They were the third worst rushing yard team, the third worst rushing attempt team, the third worst rushing average team, the big three, but not in a good way, kind of like the low three. So whether that was Joe Mixon having 814 yards, we saw plenty of flashes. It was more so in the middle of the season where Joe Mixon, when he went down, he saw Samaje really feast. Joe Mixon certainly had his moments, but yeah, that running room is not a huge glaring flaw in this team. It's not like the downfall for them. But if we go to the AFC Championship, right, against Kansas City, Joe Mixon just 8 attempts, 19 yards. In fact, I think Samaje out-carried him in that game. However, the week before that, on the road against Buffalo, Joe Mixon, 20 carries, 105 yards. So it was just an extremely inconsistent season for Joe Mixon and the Bengals running back room. So that's what's on my mind right now. And then you have the tight end room. The good news is, for the big three, as far as offensive needs that I can think of right now, still depth on the offensive line, running back room, and tight end. This is a good free agency and draft class for all three of those positions. So trust me, and I think this move will get a lot of Bengals fans on board if they were like a little hesitant, like, well, why aren't the Bengals making any big time moves? We got to get back to the Super Bowl. I get it, but this is an A+ signing. So let me know what you guys are thinking about it. As always, hit that like button, hit that sub button, and I'll see you guys.